Okay, once again, welcome all. So, this was the last slide which we have seen for the previous lecture, previous to this. Now we have seen types of shaft. Next, we are going to see the material which is used for the shaft, or generally material which is recommended for the shafts. So, while we are going to select any material for the shaft, then it should have some properties which are mentioned here. That is, first thing is that it should be have high strength. That is nothing but if you are going to use some material which is used to transmit the torque, like in case of you might have seen wooden rollers where this sugar cane is crushed. In that case also it is a shaft to transmit the power it is used, but it is made up of wood because large amount of torque is not required in that case, and wood is the material which we can use for that. Getting me? So while you are going to select that particular material for the shaft, it should have high strength as compared to the in wood section also we have to choose such wood which will be have the high strength. Okay, in such applications where the wood can be prepared. Otherwise, metals are preferably used for the transmitting of shaft. I have taken very simple example of wooden roller mill. So next property, it should be good machinability. That means it have good machinability, sufficient soft should that material should be sufficient soft, because when we have seen the cares which we have to take while we are going to design any component for the machine operation or manufacturing process, if you are going to use as a machining, at that time in that case we have to select, we have seen that hard materials are to be avoided. So while you are going to select the material for the shaft, it should have good machinability. Then it should have low notch sensitivity factor, because in case of notch sensitivity, we have seen that alternative load, if it is coming, or fluctuating load, if is coming on any component, then that component will get fail earlier to its strength, okay, yield strength, or its ultimate strength. But we have to choose such a material which will have low notch sensitivity. Then it should have good heat treatment process. This heat treatment process is used basically on the shaft to harden the case. That means shafts are used by applying the heat treatment, that is case hardening. Okay. In case of shaft, that material which is inside the shaft, that should be soft, and its surface should be hard. Okay, that surface should be wear resistant. So that case hardening treatment is used, and it should respond good to the heat treatment. Such a material we have to use. Then it should have high wear resistance property, because as the shaft is transmitting rotating motion or rotary motion, it is supported by means of some stationary components also. Getting stationary means like in case of bearing, the shafts are mounted, and it will have more wear probability. So that material which you are going to choose should be good wear resistant. And no doubt that when you are going to make this heat treatment, that is you are going to hard the case upper layer or surface of that shaft, then it is going to become wear resistant. So the general materials which are suggested for the shaft are 40C8. This is Indian standard code which is used for the shaft material. It is carbon steel, okay, with 0.08 carbon percentage. 40C8, which has an ultimate tensile strength in megapascal as 560 to 670, and yield strength as a 320 megapascal. Okay, we are mostly concentrate on the yield strength because in case of ductile materials, which we have seen, that ultimate tensile strength is not going to taken into account, but the yield strength is taken into account. Then 45C8, that is another material which is suggested. Respective ultimate tensile and yield strength is shown in the table. Then 50C4, 50C12, these are the materials which are mostly, this 40C8 is recommended. It will respond good to the heat treatment also. Getting? So this table in which the properties of that material, respective material, are shown. Any doubt? If not, we can go further. Now, as we have discussed previously, maximum principal shear stress theory can be used for shaft design. So, maximum principal shear stress here is shown by means of sigma suffix b. Since the shaft is subjected to the bending and torsional moment without any axial force. Okay, axial force is also exerted, but as compared to the bending force and torsional force, it is negligible, because mainly the force which is acted on the shaft is torsional force or torsional movements and bending force. Okay, so we have to consider this bending and torsional movements on the shaft. Okay, because if you are going to see the axles which are used for the trolleys, in that case the axial force is also exerted. Getting? But if you are going to make this shaft shape in case of bending and torsional, it will be automatic. Sorry. Okay. So we are going to consider the bending stress and shear stress. Shear stress is denoted by tau. Bending stress is denoted by sigma b. Okay, tensile or compressive due to bending moment. So this bending stresses, maximum principal bending stresses, we can say, is given by half of the bending stress plus half into under root sigma b square plus 4 times tau shear stress square. This formulae we have derived in maximum principal stress theory. Okay, so in this formulae we have to calculate sigma b and we have to calculate tau from the applied stress or force condition. Now, for calculating bending moment, we'll use this equation m by I is equal to f by y is equal to E by R, which you might have seen in your prerequisite strength of material, where m means moment which is applied, I means its moment of inertia, f that is replaced by sigma b. Okay, sigma b distance of layer where you are going to calculate the stress from the that is neutral axis. Getting? So this equation by means of which we can calculate the value of sigma b. Prior, it should be known moment which is applied, then moment of inertia of cross section, and the distance. Okay, here the distance will be taken for the uppermost layer, either in tensile or in compressive. So m by I is equal to sigma b by y, by means of which we are going to calculate sigma b. M is calculated as pi by 32 sigma b into d cube. Sigma b is the bending moment, okay, where we have put the moment which you are bending moment which you are going to calculate. So here we are going to put the values, that is I for the circular cross section, y as a d by 2, and this equation is rewritten in terms of m. So m is equal to pi by 32 into sigma b into d cube. Okay, by putting values of I and y. For circular cross section, I is how much? Can anybody of you tell me what is value of I, that is moment of inertia for circular cross section? You can write in chat box also. Are you getting my question? Circular cross section साठी moment of inertia I याची व्हॅल्यू काय आहे? About its rotating axis or central axis. Anybody of you? Are you not remembering it? कुणीतरी सांगा एक जण. हा, कोण सांगू शकते का? Moment of inertia of circular cross section. Yes. ठीक आहे, pi by 64 d raised to 4 हे सर्क्युलर क्रॉस सेक्शन साठी I ची व्हॅल्यू आहे, y ची व्हॅल्यू आहे d by 2. ओके, ही जर व्हॅल्यू आपण टाकली तर सिग्मा b will be equal to, or sigma sorry, we are going to convert it into in terms of m. m जर इथं असेल तर I ची व्हॅल्यू तिकडे जाईल. ओके, आणि y ची व्हॅल्यू इथं आपण d by 2 टाकणार आहे, त्यामुळे 64 2 वरती जाईल, 64 चं निम्म होईल 32 आणि एक d ला कॅन्सल होईल. So value of m will be pi by 32 sigma b into d cube. Now for the twisting moment, like we have calculated for the bending moment, twisting moment equation is replaced as T, that is torque which is applied, twisting moment which is applied, divided by J. J is the polar moment of inertia, is equal to tau, that is the shear stress. Instead of bending stress, we are going to take the shear stress, divided by R. R is nothing but the, again, Y it is, that is d by 2. So it is directly written as R. Now this equation, by putting value of J and R as it is, okay, you can calculate it in terms of twisting moment or torque. T is equal to pi by 16 into tau into d cube, because J is equal to pi by 32 d raised to 4. Okay, so this equation is converted in terms of T. by means of these two equations, that is equation which is calculated for the bending moment, this we can say as a first equation, and equation which is calculated for the twisting moment, that is torque, we can calculate the value of maximum bending stress or principal stress which is applied, that is sigma b is equal to, by putting value of T, sigma b and tau in this equation, we can write it as a half 32m divided by pi d cube plus half under root 32m divided by pi d cube, that is value of sigma b, plus 4 times value of tau, that is 16t divided by pi d cube square. Okay, if you are going to reduce this equation, that is nothing but we can take common terms outside the bracket. This equation will become half also we can take common, but here yes, because 32 is taken common, that's why half is not taken common. Half into m, okay, plus under root m square plus t square. Half is also taken common from the both these values. Later on we'll see what to do with the half. But here, if you are going to put this 32 and pi d cube to the other side, so pi divided by 32 into sigma b into d cube is equal to half of the m plus under root m square plus t square. Now this value, that is half m plus under root m square plus t square, is also called as equivalent bending moment. This value, which will be later on used for the calculating of dimensions, that is nothing but d, if you are knowing the value of sigma b, allowable bending stress. Or if you choose the value of diameter, you can calculate maximum bending stress which will be induced in that shaft. Okay, so this equivalent bending moment, which is denoted by sigma m suffix e, equivalent bending moment, is equal to half of the m, half into bracket m plus under root m square plus t square, and which is equal to pi by 32 sigma b into d cube. Okay, from this we can calculate dimension d. Any question? Let me know if you do any question. Yes. Do you have any question related to the part which we have seen? Are you able to listen me? Yes or not? Just let me know. Can you listen me? Hello? Hello? Am I audible? Yes. Nobody is responding. Okay. That's why I feel that. Okay. Whether you have got it? Everybody? Yes or not? Should I repeat it once again? सिंपल इक्वेशन आहे जे आपण ऑलरेडी फाइंड आउट केलेलं आहे मॅक्झिमम प्रिन्सिपल स्ट्रेसचं. ओके, मॅक्झिमम प्रिन्सिपल स्ट्रेस ह्या केसमध्ये बेंडिंग स्ट्रेस कन्सिडर केली. बरोबर काय? हाफ ऑफ द बेंडिंग स्ट्रेस either it will be tensile or compressive, ज्याची मॅक्झिमम व्हॅल्यू असेल ती. कारण शाफ्ट ज्यावेळेला रोटेट होतो त्यावेळेला ज्यावेळेला आपण बेंडिंग स्ट्रेस काढतो त्यावेळेला वरचा पार्ट आहे कॉम्प्रेशन मध्ये, खालचा पार्ट आहे टेन्शन मध्ये. आणि आपण ह्या थिअरी शिकताना असं कन्सिडर केलेलं आहे की कॉम्प्रेशन आणि टेन्साइल हे इक्वल असतं. ओके, सो मॅक्झिमम प्रिन्सिपल स्ट्रेस थिअरी काय सजेस्ट करते, तर नॉर्मल स्ट्रेस प्लस half of the normal stress plus half of the under root normal stress square plus 4 times shear stress square. ओके, यातला आता नॉर्मल स्ट्रेस कॅल्क्युलेट करताना m by I is equal to सिग्मा b by y हे आपण इक्वेशन यूज करतोय. ह्याच्यामध्ये सिग्मा b ची व्हॅल्यू, इथं मी m ची व्हॅल्यू कॅल्क्युलेट केली, त्याच्याऐवजी सिग्मा b ची व्हॅल्यू कॅल्क्युलेट करू. सिग्मा b इज इक्वल टू काय असेल, m into 32m divided by pi dq. Okay, sigma b ची व्हॅल्यू तशीच ठेव. Then afterwards we are going to calculate the tau value. Okay, त्यासाठी इक्वेशन यूज करतो t by j is equal to tau by r. सेमच इक्वेशन आहे ते, फक्त ट्विस्टिंग मुवमेंट साठी. पूर्वीचं होतं ते बेंडिंग मुवमेंट साठी होतं. In this case we are going to calculate value of tau. Tau is equal to 16t divided by pi dq. These two values of sigma b and tau are placed in the equation which we have derived. Okay, so in this equation when you are going to put the values, we are going to get the equation as sigma b is equal to 32 divided by pi dq into bracket. Again we are going to take half common, half of the m plus under root m square plus t square, where m is bending moment, t is torque or twisting moment. Okay, now we are going to take this 32 and pi d cube to the other side, so it will become pi by 32 into sigma b max into d cube. Remaining quantity is called as equivalent bending moment. This equivalent bending moment is denoted by m suffix e, and e is equal to half of the m plus under root m square plus t square and this remaining quantity. Okay, from this equation we can calculate value of t when we are going to consider maximum principal stress theory. Okay, now if you are going to consider maximum shear stress theory, okay, mostly this maximum shear stress theory is used while designing of shaft. What the maximum shear stress theory suggests us, that tau max is equal to half of the under root normal stress, that is bending stress in case of shaft, plus 4 times shear stress square. Okay, bending stress already we have calculated in the previous slide. Okay, and shear stress we have calculated already in the previous slide. So sigma b is equal to 32m divided by pi d cube and tau is equal to 16t divided by pi d cube. These two values we have to put in this maximum shear stress theory equation, so that we get that this tau max is equal to half of the 32m divided by pi d cube square plus 4 times 16t divided by pi d cube whole bracket square. This 16 divided by pi d cube can be taken out of the square root. Okay, and this half is already we have taken, but this 32 m we have taken, that's why this 32 is going to become 16 as half is common, and under root m square plus t square. Here this m square plus t square is called as equivalent twisting moment and is denoted by t suffix e. So this equivalent twisting moment is equal to m square under root m square plus t square is equal to pi by 16 shear stress into d cube. From this equation we can calculate diameter of that shaft. Any one theory which you are going to use which will give us more value, okay, of diameter, that we have to choose. Either this maximum shear stress will give us bigger value of diameter than the maximum principal stress theory. Okay, then we have to choose the maximum one. Do you get it? These are the simple steps which are involved in case of shaft design. Now the process which we have seen is for the solid shaft. If the shaft is hollow one, then just we have to replace this D by means of outer diameter minus inner diameter. Okay, or we can use one factor K, which is given as ratio of outer diameter divided by inner diameter. Okay, which is denoted by K. So the equations are modified. Equations are modified as equivalent twisting moment is equal to under root m square plus t square is equal to pi by 16 tau into DO cube, where DO is outer diameter, into 1 minus K cube. K is ratio of outer diameter to the inner diameter for the hollow shafts which are hollow in nature. Okay, and likewise this equivalent bending moment is calculated as half of the in bracket m plus under root m square plus t square is equal to pi by 32 sigma b into DO cube into 1 minus K cube. Got it? Okay. Next, just in case of solid shafts, we are going to replace it by means of inner diameter and outer diameter in case of hollow shafts. Any question? Hello? Do you have any question? If not, we'll go to the next slide. And this is what? Design of shaft on the basis of torsional rigidity. First of all, we have to see what is torsional rigidity. And later on, we'll see the criteria which is used for the designing of that shaft based on torsional rigidity. Torsional rigidity is nothing but when we are going to use, suppose here you can see this diagram. In this diagram, it is shown that this white part is nothing but here, if suppose I keep or kept this shaft and I hold it. And whereas this black strip is showing that I applied that twisting moment. Okay, then how much this shaft is going to get deflect by applying this twisting moment. Suppose here I'll take another color, yellow one. Okay, before applying this twisting moment, this was the point A, and when you are going to apply it, that point has been shifted to A dash. So how much angular deflection has taken place? Theta. That angular deflection, if it is more than the recommended deflection, okay, all these things are happening within the elastic limit. That means when you are releasing this twisting moment, again this A dash is coming to the A. Okay, it is not moving in the plastic stage. If it is moving in the plastic stage, then we can say that the failure of shaft has taken place, because it has over its limit. Okay, under the elastic limit only, how much this twisting or this angular deflection is occurring, based on that the rigidity is considered, and that is called as torsional rigidity. Now for shafts, like application in case of camshafts. Now camshaft is the shaft which is used in IC engine to operate the valves, as well as it is used to operate the Bosch fuel pump also in case of CI engines. So this camshaft, this torsional rigidity or permissible amount of twist is limited to 0.25 degree per meter length of the shaft. Okay, this term is important, that per meter length 0.25 degree is allowed. That twisting is allowed only of 0.25 degree, because all the operation of engine is depend upon opening and closing of that valves. So more deflection is not allowed there. If suppose we are going to put one cam over here and second cam over here for operating the valve, and if the twisting is occurring more than 0.25 degrees, then it may be possible that at the time of opening of valve, which is required at that angular position only, because you might have seen valve timing diagram. In that case, it is depend upon the rotation of crankshaft, okay, and also with the in line with the camshaft. But at respective degrees of rotation, if the opening and closing is taking place, and if it is lagging by means of some more degrees, 2 to 3 degrees, then definitely this engine will not work properly. For that, you have to see this operation of IC engine, which is depend upon valve timing diagram. In IC engine subject, you might have learned what is valve timing diagram. Am I right? So everything is depend upon that valve timing diagram. And if the more amount of twisting is allowed, then this valve timing diagram will not work properly, or it will be lagging and engine will not work properly. Getting me? So we have to consider this valve timing diagram. And in that case, permissible amount of twist is 0.25 degrees. For line shafts or transmission shafts, this deflection is allowed up to 2.5 to 3 degrees. That is over there, this twisting is not going to affect much more. It is allowed up to 2.5 degree to 3 degree, which is very large or sufficient large, we can say. The widely used deflection for the shaft is limited to 1 degree. Special applications like transmission shaft, it is 2.5 to 3 degree. Special application like cam shafts, it is 0.25 degree, but normally used deflection is 1 degree, okay, in its length, equal to the 20 times of its diameter. That means 1 degree is allowed to the length equal to 20 times of the diameter of that shaft. Getting? Now it is time to find out the twisting of any shaft, how we can calculate the twisting. So twisting is again calculated by means of the equation which we have find out, that is T by J is equal to tau by, okay, T by J is equal to G into theta divided by L, where G is the modulus of rigidity of the shaft material, okay, that is rigidity constant. L is the length of that shaft, and theta is allowable twist, or theta is the twist. Later on we'll see whether it is allowed or not, but theta is the twist, T is the torsional moment, and J is the polar moment of inertia. If this theta we have to calculate, then it will be equal to T into L divided by J into G. So if this theta value is more than 0.25 in case of camshaft, then we have to again make that shaft more rigid by deciding or calculating the diameter value of that shaft. Or normally, if it is more than 1 degree per its length equal to 20 times of the diameter, then again we have to redefine this D, because D is given in terms of J here, and we can calculate the value of D by keeping this theta in limiting value. Whether you have got it, let me know. Yes or not? Please put your comments in chat box whether you have got it or should I repeat it. Concept of torsional rigidity and design of a shaft based on torsional rigidity. I request to everybody, please keep your opinion in chat box, or you can unmute yourself and you can write. Hello? Whether everybody is listening me? I repeat. Okay. Okay, I will repeat it once again. See, torsional rigidity म्हणजे काय असतं की आपण एका हातात जर सिंपल तुम्ही एक्सपेरिमेंट करू शकता. तुमच्याकडे स्केल आहे, स्केल हातात धरा, एका हाताने फिक्स पकडा आणि दुसऱ्या हाताने ट्विस्ट करा. ते ट्विस्ट किती होते? ओके, मोडू नका ती, त्याच्या विदिन द इलॅस्टिक लिमिट मध्येच फक्त ट्विस्ट करा ती. ओके, जेवढी ट्विस्ट होईल ती त्याची रिजिडिटी म्हणायची, टॉर्शनल रिजिडिटी झाली म्हणायची, म्हणजे बिफोर ब्रेक और बिफोर ब्रेकिंग. कारण आपल्याकडे स्केल जे आहे ते स्केल आहे ते ब्रिटल मटेरियलची स्केल आहे. ओके, डक्टाईल स्टील रूल जर तुम्ही हातात घेतली आणि ती अशी वाकवली तर ती डक्टाईल मटेरियलची आहे, त्याच्यामुळे त्याच्यात कदाचित जास्त ट्विस्टिंग होऊ शकतं. ओके, तर ते जे ट्विस्टिंग आहे ते किती अलाव करायचं आपण पर मीटर लेंथला, दॅट इज नथिंग बट द टॉर्शनल रिजिडिटी. ओके, ही टॉर्शनल रिजिडिटी जी आहे, म्हणजे समजा आपण टॉर्क ट्रान्समिट करतोय शाफ्ट मधून, तर पहिल्यांदा काय होतं की एक साइड असते ते शाफ्टची काय करते की ती त्या शाफ्टला फिरू देत नाही, दुसरी साइड असते की ती त्याला फिरू देते, फिरवायचं असतं त्याला. आणि ह्या फिरवण्याच्या ह्याच्यात थोडंसं डिफ्लेक्शन होतं शाफ्टचं, कारण एक फोर्स हा दुसऱ्या फोर्सला अपोज करत असतो. गेटिंग, एक साइड दुसऱ्या साइडला अपोज करत असते. लाईक वी हॅव टेकन एक्झाम्पल ऑफ स्केल. मग त्या केसमध्ये आपण जे डिफ्लेक्शन होतंय त्या शाफ्टचं पर मीटर, ते डिफ्लेक्शन किती पाहिजे? तर आता काही ऍप्लिकेशन आहेत जसे की कॅम्प शाफ्टचं ऍप्लिकेशन आहे जिथं प्रिसाइज डिफ्लेक्शन एक्सपेक्टेड आहे, म्हणजे डिफ्लेक्शनच एक्सपेक्टेड नाही बेसिकली, कारण जेवढ्या अमाऊंटनं त्याला इनपुट रोटेट केलंय तेवढं तिथं त्याच्या एंडला आउटपुट पण रोटेट झालं पाहिजे. समजा मी 10 डिग्रीनं जर कॅम्प शाफ्ट रोटेट केला इनपुटला, तर 10च डिग्री पाहिजे आउटपुटला. पण मटेरियलच्या प्रॉपर्टीमुळं काय होतं की आउटपुट हा कमी रोटेट होतो. तो कितीनं कमी रोटेट झाला तर चालतो, तर 0.25 डिग्री पर मीटरनं. हे आहे कॅम्प शाफ्टसाठी. लाईन शाफ्ट असेल किंवा ट्रान्समिशन शाफ्ट असेल, ट्रान्समिशन शाफ्ट म्हणजे आपण प्रोपेलर शाफ्ट कन्सिडर करू. प्रोपेलर शाफ्ट जो ट्रक मध्ये वगैरे वापरला जातो तो, त्या केसमध्ये ते 2.5 to 3 डिग्री डिफ्लेक्ट झाला तर चालतो विदिन द इलॅस्टिक लिमिट. ओके, पण नॉर्मली काय करतो आपण डिझाईन करताना की 1 डिग्री पर लेंथ किती घ्यायची, तर 20 टाइम्स ऑफ द डायमीटर. हे नॉर्मल गणित आहे आपलं की 1 डिग्री अलाउड करतो आपण पर 20 टाइम्स ऑफ द डायमीटर. डायमीटर जर 20 असेल तर 20 गुणिले 20. ओके, म्हणजे 400 मिलीमीटरला 1 डिग्री डिफ्लेक्शन झालं तर चालतं त्याचं. असं नॉर्मल डिझाईन करतो आपण. आता हे ट्विस्टिंग मुवमेंट कॅल्क्युलेट कशी करायची किंवा ट्विस्टिंग कसं कॅल्क्युलेट करायचं, तर ते ट्विस्टिंग कॅल्क्युलेट करताना आपण काय म्हणतोय, एक वेगळं इक्वेशन आहे, ज्या इक्वेशनवरनं आपण टी बाय जे इज इक्वल टू टाऊ बाय आर कॅल्क्युलेट केलं, तर त्याच्याच पुढचा पार्ट आहे हा थीटा बाय एल. ओके, तर त्या इक्वेशन नुसार आपण थीटा कॅल्क्युलेट करू शकतो. तो थिटा कसा कॅल्क्युलेट करतो, टी बाय जे इज इक्वल टू जी इंटू थिटा बाय एल. तर जी ह्या केसमध्ये काय आहे, मॉड्युलस ऑफ रिजिडिटी. जसं आपण इक्वेशन वापरतो बेंडिंग मुवमेंट साठी, एम बाय आय इज इक्वल टू एफ बाय वाय इज इक्वल टू ई बाय आर, वेअर आर इज द रेडियस ऑफ डिफ्लेक्शन, म्हणजे पूर्ण त्या बीमचं जे डिफ्लेक्शन होते त्याची रेडियस घेतो आपण. ओके, तसं ट्विस्टिंग मुवमेंट मध्ये ते इक्वेशन आहे टी बाय जे इज इक्वल टू टाउ बाय वाय, वाय म्हणजे आर कन्सिडर करतो आपण, इज इक्वल टू जी थिटा बाय एल. G theta, where G is the modulus of rigidity, theta is the deflection or twisting, and L is the total length of that shaft. Hence, if you are going to rewrite this equation in terms of theta, theta is equal to T into L divided by G into J. Then T, twisting moment which that shaft has to be transferred, or torque which has to be transmitted by the shaft. L is the total length of that shaft. J is the polar moment inertia of that shaft, and G is the modulus of rigidity of that shaft material. Okay, by putting all this value, you can get this value of theta. Okay, and you have to check whether it is within the allowable limit or not. जर नसेल तर आपण J जो आहे तो वाढवायचा. कसा वाढवतो J? डायमीटर वाढवून. J is equal to 5 by 32 d raised to 4 for the solid shaft, and J is equal to pi by 32 do raised to 4 minus di raised to 4. मग ही व्हॅल्यू वाढवून आपण J वाढवू शकतो, कारण पाय वाढवू शकत नाही, 32 तर कॉन्स्टंट आहे ते पण वाढवू शकत नाही. वाढवू काय शकतो आपण, do raised to 4 minus di raised to 4 ही व्हॅल्यू हॉलो शाफ्ट साठी, किंवा सॉलिड शाफ्ट साठी d raised to 4 ही व्हॅल्यू वाढवली तर J वाढेल. ओके, and by means of that we can increase or decrease value of theta. हे जर थीटा आपण विदिन द लिमिट ठेवला, त्याची व्हॅल्यू आपण विदिन लिमिट ठेवली, ओके, तर आपण डी कॅल्क्युलेट करू शकतोय. ट्विस्टिंग मुवमेंट माहित असेल, लेंथ माहित असेल, मॉड्युलस ऑफ रिजिडिटी ऑफ दॅट मटेरियल माहित असेल, तर वी कॅन कॅल्क्युलेट व्हॅल्यू ऑफ डी. गॉट इट? बाय टू वेज we can find D or we can find theta. Now, any question? Let me know if you have any question. You can. Okay, no question. Others? Let me know opinion from the others. Gaurav Karande, roll number 58. Roll number 58. Gaurav, can you comment on this? Have you got it or not? Are you listening me, Gaurav? Yes. Have you got it? Yes. Okay. Anybody else? Any question? If not, we are going to move further and we can see this example in which we have to find out the diameter of shaft. A line shaft is driven by means of motor placed vertically below in it. Okay, vertically below that motor has been placed. The pulley on the line shaft is 1.5 meter in diameter and has belt tension equal to 5.4 kilonewton and 1.5 kilonewton on tight side and slack side. The belt of the belt respectively. Both these tensions may be assumed to be vertical, that is vertically downward because motor is placed at the down or at the below of that shaft. If the pulley be overhang from the shaft, the distance of the center line of pulley from the center line of the bearing is being 400 millimeter. Find the diameter of shaft, assuming maximum allowable shear stress equal to 42 megapascal. Shear stress is given, bending stress is not given. Okay, we can calculate that bending stress also. So given is the diameter of the pulley, that is capital D equal to 1.5 meter, or its radius is equal to 0.75 meter. Then T1 tension at the tight side is 5.4 kilonewton, that is 5,400 Newton. T2 is 1.8 kilonewton, that is 1800 Newton. Length of shaft overhang is 400 millimeter. Tau, allowable tau is 42 megapascal, that is 42 Newton per millimeter square. And this is the diagrammatical picture of the given statement. Bearing is placed at point A and pulley is placed, which is cantilever 400 meter, and W, that is load, is acting in downward direction. Okay. So T1 is the tight side tension and T2 is the slack side tension. So first of all, we can calculate the total load which is applied in downward direction, that is T1 plus T2, because both are acting in downward direction only. Though the slack side and tight sides are having different value, but both are acting in downward direction. So it will become 7,200 Newton. Hence, bending moment will be W into L, that is 7,200 multiplied by 400, and that is equal to 2,880 into 10 raised to 3 Newton mm. And this torque which we are going to transmit is 5,400, or we are going to put the value of this M and tau. Okay, tau we are going to place as a 42 when we are going to calculate this equivalent bending moment. So torsional moment can be calculated as 5,400, because in case of torsional moment, here the torsional moment will be acted by means of this power which is transmitted by means of belt. Okay, so it will be equal to 5,400 minus 1,800, because while you are going to transmit the torque, slack side and tight side we have to consider, and net force which is applied, that we have to calculate. Okay, so multiplied by diameter of that pulley. Okay, actually we have to take radius here, so radius is equal to 0.75 meter and will become equal to 750 millimeter, right? So T is equal to net force applied multiplied by the radius. So it is coming equal to 2,700 into 10 raised to 3 Newton millimeter. Let the D is the diameter of that shaft. For calculation, we are going to do it. First of all, we will calculate the equivalent twisting moment. Equivalent twisting moment is given by under root M square plus T square. So that value is equal to 3,950 into 10 raised to 3 Newton millimeter. Now we know how to calculate the diameter from equivalent twisting moment. Equivalent twisting moment is equal to pi by 16 into tau into d cube. Why? Because this equation we have not used equivalent bending moment, because bending moment, limiting bending moment has been not given in the problem statement. Directly shear stress value, limiting shear stress value has been given. That's why we are going to use this equivalent twisting moment equation. Okay, maximum shear stress theory we are going to use here. So by means of this equation, if you are going to put value of pi and tau, we can get diameter equal to 8.25 into d cube. Now this d cube is later on calculated, and d is equal to 78 millimeter. We can approximate it to the 80 millimeter. Any doubt? Yes, any doubt? If not, we'll stop here. You can put your roll number in chat box. After putting your roll number, please leave this meeting so that I will come to know that who is remaining. Thank you for listening me.